Okay, it's 7 o'clock, I'd like to call the meeting to order, please.
Direct deposit, so it's a regular check?
Sorry.
Okay. Because I ask her all the time, I'm like, cash those checks?
Tonight, we're taking public safety, both fire department, police department, dispatchers, animal control. Next week, we'll take,
An emergency manager as well.
yeah, emergency management too, yeah. We'll take the schools, and then the week after that, we'll take DPW, and then the 2 subsequent weeks, we will take, we're gonna double up on town departments. I will send that information all out to you. I've already posted for the next 2 meetings besides this one, so we're all posted for them. So, next week's schools, the week after that will be DPW, and I will post, probably next week, 2 more meetings. That will get us, to, April 17th, and we will be basically done with all town department reviews and debt and human resources. And then that'll give us 2 subsequent 2 weeks in a row to go over the warrant, the ATM, to make recommendations to town meetings so that they have the information in time. And other than that, I'd say it feels really good to be back with you guys. I know I always thank you all, but I thank everybody that's stepped up to the plate. You know, Wendy, town manager, Donna, their staffs, you guys, and the town manager during my absence. So, other than that, I have nothing else to say. Real quick, if the manager wants to give us a small update, if not, we can get right into public safety.
That'll be you.
I was waiting for the, good evening, Mr. Chairman and members. So just to kind of update, obviously, this is the beginning of trying to start with the process and go through each of the departments and try to go ask questions and get information. You probably saw the letter that you've all got a copy of the letter I submitted to the Board of Selectmen. Hopefully, you've all had a chance to view that video. They kind of go into detail about some of the budget issues, some of the concerns are laid out in the letter. You know, overall, we're sort of stayed the course. Great support with the Finance Committee, the Board of Selectmen, and town meeting to put us in a much better position. I think if you look around, there's other cities and towns are in significant trouble financially. I think a lot of the school districts, as you know, have used, as well as this school district, I think is going to have to figure this out. We sort of warned them last year, the last 2 years. But when you hire people on grants, it's not sustainable. So that when you create full-time positions that are reoccurring operating expenses in salaries, and the grant's only for 2 or 3 years, at the end of that time period, you have to have a plan. You can't just say, we'd just like to get some more money now, when you grow your budget like that. So I think those are gonna be concerns that are gonna affect the school budget for sure.
Well, Mr. Manager, we as a committee have made that real clear. That when you're hiring people from a grant, you either have to not rehire them the following year or build them into your budget. The same way we did for the fire department.
Correct.
When we got the SAFER grants. We built them in there and now we have them full-time. And those are the things that they have to do. And sometimes it's tough love that you have to push something aside that you wanted to move forward with in order to stabilize your employment, so.
And I do say this every year, and I don't, and obviously there's people that new to watch this and others like yourselves that have heard this a bunch of times. But, we basically have, if we have, $130 million or so on to spend, we really could easily have, $150 million worth of things to spend on, and we try to do the best we can do. We do more with less. And all the departments will tell you, we meet internally, we don't do these public things with newspapers and all that, with the budget process, but each department comes in and they want certain things and they need certain things, and we talk about that, and like you just said, Mr. Chairman, we say things like, okay, we're gonna do this for DPW this year, and then next year we'll do this for the police, and we plan those things out and try to alternate and say everybody can't get everything they want. We don't, and I always say this, we don't put the $2 million more that each department would want, and then go out and say, well, their budget got cut by $2 million and nobody's safe in the whole town. And I think that there's, we have to be careful when the schools or other entities do that, because it erodes confidence. I think we do a phenomenal job with delivering great services. We've built the departments up, and you'll hear from them the best services we've ever provided in the history of the town. Again, I've been around a long time, and I was on the police department years ago. But I think we've done a good job with that. Could we use more staff in other departments? No question about it. But what we try to do is spend within our means. That's reflected in our bond rating. You hear some people, the sort of what I call them, the contrarians, that, the bond rating, what does that all mean? Like, it means like this is what's put the town on the map, to be able to do capital improvements and infrastructure that we've done over years and years, that you won't realize a lot of this stuff for 20 years, to realize that we're doing water and sewer, we're doing playgrounds, we're doing HVAC systems, we're doing building roofs and maintenance. And those are things that are all supported with the confidence that the money and the taxpayers' monies are being spent correctly. We have people overseeing that, and we do the best we can do to sort of anticipate, so that we don't have emergencies that end up costing us, quadruple the amount of money when you have an emergency. So we try to do preventive maintenance, and I think we've really done a great job. There's a lot more to do, and we continue to try to learn and adjust as the economy and jobs and salaries and all that change. All our union contracts are settled. We've got them put out for, we did a 1 and a 3 year, so we got 4 years of basically settlement of all 6 contracts on the side of town. That helps us budget, helps us plan accordingly financially. So things like that. We don't, as you guys have been around for a long time, some of you, we had all kinds of unrest with all kinds of things for years and years. So we're always working and looking to get better. Trying to listen to what people want and different needs, and we try to identify those things, and as you know, we come with a plan of how we're gonna do that, how we're gonna fund it, and what we're gonna get done. And so the idea is you have groups of people and demographics that I just want this, and other people just want that, and other people want something different. We try to do a little bit of each to try to, all try to get into an intersecting line, so that we're building for the younger generation, people that are just starting out here, and as well as people that are seniors, so that we're trying to provide, where I think it was really unbalanced years ago, where we weren't really investing in the community in different ways. So as I've heard from many people at different times, people really have the confidence in being able to invest in the community, meaning the direction of us doing capital improvements, and big projects like the school, and things like that, and they feel that that the investment in that is really bringing much more value to the community and making people want to stay here and raise a family and retire here. So that's what I get to say this evening.
Thank you. Chief, the floor is yours.
Okay. I'd like to quickly just read the cover letter that I included in the book. I'd like to thank the members of the Finance Committee, Board of Selectmen, Town Manager, and Town Meeting for the work they put in, analyzing the town budget and making the difficult decisions that need to be made every year. I'd also like to include Wendy Hatch and Donna Matarazzo in that. I know they put in a ton of work also. I ask that you review this budget and consider public safety as a priority for the community. Quick review: in 2024, the police department responded to approximately 20,341 calls for service, made 206 arrests, applied for 363 hearings, summons, and warrants. Total total of 1,712 incident reports were completed for a variety of crimes and events. The department responded to 772 motor vehicle accidents, 647 motor vehicle stops, 449 directed patrols / traffic controls. Total of 575 citations were issued. We also logged in 508 pieces of evidence and served 123 restraining orders. So for a community the size of ours, as far as population-wise, we're pretty busy compared to other communities of the same population. I think a large part due to Route 1 running right through the town. The Saugus Police Department continues to engage in the community programs that we have always done, such as National Night Out, Wheel Trail, Bicycle Controls, Essex County DA Summer Camp, the Opioid Outreach Program, National Drug Take Back, and many others that we partner with the Youth and Recreation Department. And we'll continue to do that work with town departments and different civic organizations in an effort to engage with the community, develop partnerships, and address the concerns of the community. It is the goal of the Saugus Police Department not only to enforce the laws of the Commonwealth and the bylaws of the town, but also to make a significant impact on the quality of life issues of our residents. If we can shoot over to, we'll start with the police department salaries. So there is an increase with that, $622,000, and that's due to contractual obligations. We settled the contract last year, so it basically reflects, I think, a 2-year increase of raises because of one year retroactive and then last year. So, you know, that seems a little bit high. So just keep in mind that it does reflect 2 years of raises due to contractual obligations and the settling of the contract. The part-time wages, which include the parking control officer, the hearing officer, and the matron, went up almost $4,000. Again, last year 143, this year 147, so not too significant on that. The overtime, the general overtime budget, we level funded at $825,000. Not looking for any increases on that. The stipend special assignments, again, a couple of years of increases, and we did add a new position of civil rights officer within the police department, so that's the increase you see there, not only the raises, but also that one extra position. The overtime court and witness, level funded at $110,000. The overtime training budget increased by $62,000, again, due to the pay increase and also the post commission, the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission added 3 hours of in-service training to our yearly training. So there was a bump we had to include for that. So that's probably why I see a little bit bigger difference in that than just the contractual obligation. The differential pay, up $56,000 from last year. Again, the contractual obligations. The holiday pay was level funded at $125,000. The employee benefits, retirement, military, level funded at $5,000. The longevity for the non-sworn port personnel was up $850. We had a couple of the non-sworn personnel that hit milestones. The career incentive, which I think most of you know is the former, what was formerly known as the QIMBO, is the old education incentive that a lot of people like myself are grandfathered into, which should be going down over the course of the next several years when you start to see the veteran officers leaving. It is up this year, $44,000. But I think, over the course of the next couple of years, and we'll get into some of the retirements that are going to be significant over the next year, but we'll see a drop in that in the next few years significantly. The new education incentive, we did increase that by $51,000, and that was due to hiring a few new officers that had bachelor's degree. So those two went up. The sick leave incentive level funded at $25,000. The sick leave buyback, this went up significantly from $71,000 to $297,000. We have 7 people within the department who plan on retiring in the next fiscal year, and they get the sick time buyback. So that's why you see the significant increase in that. I mean, obviously, it's a one-time thing, and I don't know if I can say it's definitely gonna go down the next couple of years, because like I just said, not just next fiscal, but the next probably 3 fiscal, there's gonna be a significant amount of retirements coming through, but again, we'll take that year by year.
Ask you one quick question. Those 7 officers are included in your, whatever your breakdown of the department is on the
Yeah.
front page? Do you know, you don't wait till they go before posting for the new jobs, right?
No, we'll get to that. We typically do,
We might be jumping ahead.
yeah, we do
So it's
a,
like almost a year.
That's kind of what.
You know, for both fire and police, and police is a little more complicated because of the academies longer
Yeah.
than they, you know, before they can actually work.
I
So
saw
we
that.
try to do that, but then not always, you know, you gotta wait for an academy to open. You might have people that, you know,
Yeah.
can't pass certain things, and then you eliminate, you gotta start over. That happens quite more often than it used to years ago.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack us,
Yeah.
That's okay.
that seemed like a big number to me.
No, it's,
no, it is,
it is, but it's not.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, how many sick days can they carry over?
So when they leave, they can buy back 100 sick
I
days.
thought it was 100. I just wanted, I didn't know if there was any changes.
No, no changes in that.
Thank you, sir. Sorry to get sidetracked.
No, no worries.
Thank you, Chief.
Actually, Charlene, the overlaps, that's included in that, in the, yeah, the budget.
Oh, yeah, I did see
So I
that.
did,
I did see the overlaps.
yeah,
So I saw that. Yeah, my
So
bad.
that's the money we
That makes
use
sense.
to try to get ahead of things and try to stop people
Gotcha.
before they leave. Okay. Okay, we can switch over to the expenses side. Repair and maintenance for the office equipment was level funded at $50,000. Repair and maintenance for vehicles, again, level funded at $35,000. The communications repair and maintenance, level funded at $66,900. Repair and maintenance equipment, $1,000. Professional tech and advertising, level funded at $250,000.
Chief, excuse me, I just want to make one statement for the general public and any town meeting members that might be here. We're seeing level funded in repairs and maintenance, we're seeing it in communications. That's a direct symptom of a result of all the investments we have made in new vehicles on a regular basis, and also the communications that we've made a significant investment in, that we're not, you know, having problems, repairs, outages, that the men can't get a signal or anything. You know, it's important for the people to know that when they see those numbers that we're spending, that's a direct result of what you're seeing right there.
Yeah, we did recently just switch over communications-wise anyway, from copper lines to the fiber optic lines. Made a significant difference. There was another area of the budget that went up due to that. However, I think, and Chief Newell can back me up on this, it's like night and day. With the copper lines, every time it rained or they got wet or too cold or whatnot, you know, the radios were just really, really scratchy and unreadable in some spots in town. But
Yeah.
since this went into effect, we've seen a pretty
And
significant-
as you know, or I remind you, is that we're in the midst of a upgrade for public safety communications in general for the towers, all the 911 system, the dispatch, and all that, so that there's repetitiveness and redundancy. We're actually, I think, going out to bid with those documents. They ran into a little snag because it comes under 3 different statutes bidding it, but, and if you remember, I went out and got a grant
Grant, I was
for $1
gonna say.
million from the feds that is helping to supplement that. And we're actually looking at it, and the chief, they've been all, we meet regularly on this project. There's a lot of planning, a lot of specs that go involved in it, but we may actually come back and look for a little bit more money to do the sort of, you know, we might as well do it right now. So we got a bunch of money, we got what we're looking to do, but then they have some tier 2 stuff and tier 3, and my thought is, as you know, let's do it all now, because it's either pay now or pay later much more. And you know, so we may be coming back with an article that covers a couple of the other things that have been identified to actually expand the project that we've already.
And communications are as important as training,
Yeah.
and equipment, so
Yeah.
you can't put a price, really, in my opinion, on communications, because when I found out a long time ago, before we started making all these changes, that there were dead spots in our town.
Yeah.
That's kind of a frightening situation for a public safety officer, whether it's police or fire, to be somewhere and you hear gobble or static or whatever, so.
Well, people, the other thing people don't realize, you have to do upgrades, and this stuff only has a useful life, so if we did the, public safety building and it came online in 2020, 2001, it's a long time ago, you know what I mean? And then you start looking at the towers that haven't been upgraded and have been patchwork done over the years. This is a project we've been planning and talking about for 6 or 7 years, and now we're putting it into the multi-million-dollar project, and we're thankful to have the feds to be able to
It's great that we got
secure
that
those
grant.
monies. Yep.
Yeah.
So that
I
helps
remember
supplement.
we got that
That's
grant.
a huge benefit for taxpayers. So again, and I know Selectman Chicalini talks about this a lot, and you do too. A lot of the stuff we're doing, the only thing that we've done for an override, debt exclusion, was for the schools. And other than that, this stuff is being done within our operating budget, the debt service being paid for. It's unheard of, and as you know, other towns and cities have been trying to do little
Right.
things, and they keep getting turned down to do, just minor stuff. And we've, I think, done a good job at doing that, so.
Well, we just continue on the road of good practice. Chief, sorry.
Yeah, so actually, this is the line item here where you see the $33,000 increase, and that's as a direct result of those fiber optic lines, paying for those monthly to Comcast. And again, that may or may not be recurring depending on what happens with the additional steps of the communications upgrade, but for the foreseeable couple of years, it looks like that's going to be an increase that we have to deal with. But again, just it cannot say enough about how much things have improved. Professional tech ed and training, a $9,000 increase here. For this one, that $9,000 is a direct result of, we touched on a little earlier, the police academies. There is a fee that the town has to pay for every student that they put into the police academy, and that fee doubled. They let us know that a few months ago, so we added in the extra $9,000 to cover that increase. And the others are a lot of the other training and, excuse me, I think I might have missed a page. Yeah, just the other training that we do throughout the year with the different vendors. They're all kind of specific as to what they train and who trains them. So a wide variety of things throughout the department, the specialty positions that have to go to specialized training. Supplies office, we level funded at $8,000. Custodial supplies, level funded at $6,500. The motor vehicle fuel and lube, $96,000. Luckily this year, the gas prices over the last year have come down, and that's made us a lot less nervous. There was a year or two there that we were really sweating it out, so that shouldn't be an issue. Supplies vehicle, the in-house supplies for the town mechanic, level funded at $25,000. Prisoner costs, blankets, cleaning, and obviously there are times we have to buy them food if they're stuck here for the weekends. Level funded at $75,85. Other supplies, uniform and equipment. This includes the nasal Narcan that we've been using. It has been literally a lifesaver to a lot of people in town. We do get some of the grant, but when we run out, we have to buy that on our own. The ammunition budget, level funded at $29,500. Evidence and narcotic supplies, level funded at $3,000. There is an increase in the tolls, the money we got for tolls. We were way behind on that. I think that was long overdue. So we did increase that by a significant number. Other expenses and membership dues, level funded at $9,370. Gun permits, level funded at $500. The mutual aid, which goes to NEMREC, SWAT, and RRT. God forbid from time to time, we need to call in mutual aid, a SWAT team, a response team, and I think that's well worth the money, $5,500 that we put in every year in case something happens. We have had to use them. Not a lot, but when you do it, you're glad you're a member, and you're glad you paid the money to get them here.
So Chief, so that 5,500, is that the total amount for NEMREC?
Yeah, that's the total amount we pay them.
Yeah.
There is another obligation, which is, there are a few people from within the police department.
Dedicated.
Who are on, not dedicated, I mean, a few hours a month, they'll go to call-outs, they'll go to training. So, yeah, that pays for the overtime budget pays for them to go and do that type of work if they're unable to go on their, reassign them from a shift or something like that.
And I didn't know we had a mutual aid for the police also. I mean, I think it's a great thing, because I just realized that the other day there was an incident in Wakefield in which they asked for support from us as one of the community.
Yeah, just last night.
Yeah,
Just last night, they had a
so
shooting.
I didn't know there was a mutual aid, system set up.
Yeah, we have, I mean, this is a different type of mutual aid, but we do have mutual aid agreements with all the surrounding cities and towns just for situations like this.
Excellent.
All right.
Animal control?
Animal control will start, a $3,700 increase for the animal control officer. The part-time budget's gonna stay the same at $46,980. The overtime budget will stay the same at $6,000, that's level funded. That's for the call-outs on and after the regular shift, for the animal control officer. His communications budget went up. What happened was, I think we all know where his office is, up by the DPW. It's a dead zone, cellular-wise. He was working off the wireless internet from the DPW. His office is not that close to the DPW, so he had sketchy service. What we had to do was run a dedicated line over to his office, and again, there is a small increase for that, but he's not in and out of service anymore. It's been working out great for him. Maintenance and equipment level funded at $200, professional tech general $1,500, professional tech and training level funded at $200, office supplies level funded at $300, custodial supplies $500, medical supplies level funded at $100, and supplies other level funded at $250. The uniform budget level funded at $600. The dues and memberships level funded at $60, and the animal disposal level funded at $2,000.
Chief, what do we do, obviously our animal control officer can't work every hour of the day. Do we have anybody that steps in for him on a part-time basis, or is it all built into this overtime?
So we do now, we recently hired a part-time animal control officer, so that would help alleviate, some of the call-outs for the full-time.
And where is that reflected in the budget?
I believe it's just $46,000 for that.
Where it says part-time?
Yeah, salary
Okay,
is part-time.
okay, just so, because if you said it, I had missed it.
Yeah, yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we'll move over to dispatch salaries. Dispatch has also got a well-deserved wage increase due to a settling of a contract, so that there you see the $135,000 increase for that. The temporary positions, which are the per diem dispatches, $15,000 for that, level funded. Their overtime, we increased that by $10,000 every year. It seems like we come down to the wire on that. It seems to be, a rotation of people in and out of dispatch. It's one of those jobs that's kind of a stepping stone for police officers and firefighters. So we seem to always have vacancies, and that's why I think, the overtime budget, we always seem to be down the wire on it. And the $10,000 increase will definitely give us some breathing room moving forward. Overtime training for them, $20,000. They have mandatory in-service training that they have to do throughout the year. That pays for that. The holiday pay level funded at $15,000. The The education incentive, this is brand new, that's why we're going from 0 to 31,000. As a result of settling their last contract, they get incentives for education, and based on the amount that we have that do have degrees, that's where we come up with the 31,000 for them. That could go up, could go down over the next few years, depending on who we hire and who stays, who leaves, all that.
Are there specific courses that they have to take in order to qualify for that?
Certain degrees.
Degrees, yeah.
It goes by whatever degree they're,
Yeah, like if it's
Pursuing.
associates, a bachelor's, master's.
oh, okay, it goes
It
by,
depends on, it has to be, job related.
thank you.
Dispatch expenses, the tech ed and training, well, we're funded at 10,000. And that's really it. There's a letter from the training officer in the rear here, kind of justifying and tell us a more detailed idea of where all the training for police officers, that money goes. Any questions on any of those three budgets?
Just on the dispatcher's contract, is that expires on 2027? Was that just recently ratified?
Yeah, it was, I think, within
2 years?
the last couple of months. Well, I think we went back, Mr. Manager, 2 years, and it's a total of 4 years, the dispatch
yeah.
contract.
Yep.
So they were out of contract for a couple of years, and then moving forward,
So
Well, not a couple
retroactively, they were operating without a contract for a couple of years.
No, not a couple of
it
years.
was a year and a half, was it?
Less than a year, I think it was a little over, no, less than a year.
Was it less than a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this current one will expire in 2027.
It's a year, so we do settle the year and then 3 years.
Thank
So
you.
4 years
Total
total.
of 4.
Thank you.
But it has at least 3 more years left.
Any other questions?
I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Chief.
All right,
Thank
thank you, sir.
Charlene, Murph, thank you very much.
All right, thank you guys for your time, appreciate it.
Thank you, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, Charlene. Thank you, Chief. Steve, you're gonna come next week, I have a school budget to you, too. If I'd known you were gonna come tonight, I would have brought it.
I'm not gonna give it to you.
I do have a budget for it. I'll give it to Monday, give it to Brian.
Yeah.
Chief, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, everyone from the Finance Committee. This September will be 10 years since I've been sworn in as chief. It's nice to see some familiar faces, but also some new ones over the time. I think I've been coming to these meetings for 14 years between chief and deputy, so I always appreciate everyone's time here and all the kindness that you show the public safety departments. I obviously have to thank the town manager for the work that we do previously to come into this. We do detailed budget meetings before we come in, and we identify the areas that are necessary to move up and continue services at the level that the town expects. So I have to say thank you to Wendy Hatch and Donna Matarazzo. They're always vital in preparing the budgets, and we wish we could come in and say, give me 30 extra guys, like I say every year, and have a 100-member fire department, but that's just not the reality of the fiscal constraints in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. As always, my deputy chief, Tom Dion, helps out tremendously during the budget cycle. Departmental aide, Corey Rutledge, put this booklet together over the past few days. This is something we picked up from the police department, and I think it's nice to have a visual in front of you when we do the budget cycle, so I have to thank him. And as you'll see when we go through the budget, I always have to say thank you to the departmental mechanic for what he does day in and day out to keep the apparatus going down the road. It's really, he's really a hard-working guy, and as you'll see, the money he saves for us throughout the year. I have a cover letter here. Obviously, the first paragraph is the thank yous to everybody. We have a couple, literally, this year, I think we have 3 increases in line items. So if you want to go line by line, we can just go over those three that we asked for some increases this year. Most of the capital expenses are dealt with, as everyone here knows, through town meeting, and I just appreciate, I see Mr. Moderator here, and I'm thankful for all the increases that we get for the vital capital equipment, and I know you like to hear about these updates, Mr. Chair. I will say that the new ladder truck is scheduled to be in town by this summer.
That's real nice.
I think we have a frame coming onto the assembly line in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It will get assigned a VIN number at that point in time. At that point in time, the production begins out in the Midwest. It's out in Wisconsin. Once that VIN number is in and it goes onto the assembly line, we get weekly updates through photographs that keeps us posted on the progress. We go out and do a final inspection at the end. We do the specking out here in town, and we go out and inspect the truck at the end. We'll bring the mechanic out and things like that to make sure things are right. They do identify a lot of things that have to be improved before the trucks come off the line, so that's an exciting thing for the department. I believe the ladder truck is 20 years old, so it's time to move on from that, 20 plus, I believe.
And how many years has it been for that we put the order in?
We put the order in,
Over 2 years ago?
yeah, about that time frame. It may have been tail end, something like that. Yeah, it really is.
Pierce, right?
Pierce, yeah.
Correct, yeah.
And if you remember, the cost went up about 40%, and they finally leveled off,
So we got to sort of run and go, because he's like, oh yeah, he goes, they told me 18 months, so when we come into the thing,
I remember
I said, do not say 18 months, 'cause it's
Yeah.
gonna be 3
Yeah,
years.
yeah, that's how it
He
goes.
goes, oh, it's gonna be, I go, no, it'll probably be like 2 or 3 years.
I
And
remember
Sure enough,
that.
with
It
2
was at the tail end. But
Because
Yeah.
we recommended appropriating that funding prior to I get.
And for the pumper truck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both at the same
And then
time.
what we kind of leave, so we'll do the pumper truck, let's just get the appropriation, because in a year, then it just makes it easier for us to set it up. And then, like, once we found out the feedback on the other truck, I just said, let's just order it now, because that'll take 2 years.
Yeah, and that's much appreciated, so that will be in the pipeline the following year, so I'll be able to update you all that.
garage doors at Central had to be replaced.
Yeah, we did those,
Yeah,
That was in the same time frame.
we did the garage doors, the stairs out back, the ladder truck, and then the pump, we were gonna
The
wait
ladder
on.
doors actually took a little, the doors actually took a little bit, because it was a bidding issue, and we had some issues with that too.
Yeah, it really does, it takes more than a smile and a
Everybody
handshake
thinks
to
you can
replace
just
the
call
door.
someone up and they're gonna come and just pave your driveway, I'll get somebody out next week.
No.
Municipal stuff, everything has to be bidded, it's spec'd out, and you have to go through procurement, it's a lot more challenging, and then when there's issues and modifications.
That's a pretty cool experience, Pierce Office said. It's very engaging.
Yeah, yeah.
Keeps you all the way into production from soup to nuts.
It's gotten a lot better over the past decade, where they keep you posted. And the funny thing is, when you go out to the factory, they build everything on site, other than the sirens and the radios and things like that. Everything is hand built out there on a jig and things like that. It's really interesting, and that's something you may want to experience, And it's an exciting time for the equipment. I think that
If I go outside of Saugus, it becomes a scandal. If I go outside of Saugus.
Okay. Let's get back to the budget.
Okay, we have a new engine coming through the following year, and we'll go into the departmental overview on page 4. I think we all know that the fire service goes out and does, firefighting, responds to alarms, and mutual, also medical aids and things like that. But last year, we had 5,362 calls for service out of the 20,000 calls that came into the 911 dispatch center. Each year, we tend to see an increase of about 100 to 200 calls per year. I believe when I started just under 30 years ago, we were responding to about 2,500 calls a year, so I think we've more than doubled in that period of time. Out of those calls, we did 3,516 calls for rescue and EMS. 183 calls for hazardous conditions. That could be the broad spectrum of electrical issues to hazardous materials and things like that. Service calls are a catch-all for a lot of things like people, locked in cars and different type of service calls. Good intent calls are false alarms that come from somebody worrying about a loved one, or also, calling about a hazardous condition that just does not exist. But I know that you'd like to discuss this one, Mr. Chairman. We upticked a little bit from last year in false alarms at 735 calls this past year for false alarms.
Are those strictly business or both business and residential?
It's dominated by businesses, but we do get some false alarms because with, the ADTs and the nests and things like that, people do have, fire alarms in their homes and things like that.
How about a question for you that, so when the 360 thing there where they have crash detection and all that for kids, or for, I guess for anybody, but they some of those plans claim that they send out an emergency response and make a call if a crash is detected automatically. Do we get a lot of those calls now? Is that?
Mostly with elderly. Remember the push the button? Phone it. They do have those 360 type programs for elderly people. And we're seeing more and more of that cloud-based type of calls and things like that. Everything like we talked about with the copper wire before with the fire alarms and the communications, the utilities don't want to cover repairs for those anymore. And that's really the onus and the push that we had to make some investments to get into fiber.
Well, I don't know what Chief Blanchard was saying.
Yeah.
That was a big issue for him.
I would have never thought there'd be a cellular type fire alarm in a structure ever, and now that's commonplace if you think about it,
My alarm's cellular or internet.
Or Bluetooth,
Yeah,
whatever it is.
mine isn't copper wire.
Well, even all the HVAC stuff, all this stuff is all wireless, so it's communicating to here,
Wireless.
this thing, and then it's communicating down to the boiler. Interesting.
It's, it really is, we have a lot of cloud-based programs now on our apparatus with the iPads and things like that give us a lot more flexibility, and we can do our inspections out in the street and put them right into the system now, and it's a great improvement, and I appreciate everybody listening to me over the technology investments over the past several years. Page 6 is the schedule of payments. I believe it says in the description here that fire prevention did 1,000 inspections. Well, you can triple that number between plan review and fire alarm calls and calls for service through fire prevention. We do about 3,000 service calls a year through there. And if you look at these different fees, especially for permits and things like that, all these are at $50 a pop. So this is, it shows you what the 2 fire prevention captains do on a daily basis. I think they do an average of 9 inspections per day per employee in fire prevention. So it's about 18 inspections a day, and that's a pretty heavy workload in a community like this. Corey put this page 7 in. It just sort of gives you some sort of chart to show you, where the most fees are coming into the department. I think that 96,000 is a slight uptick over the past few years. We got our organizational chart on page 8, and there's sort of a roster breakdown on that side. We have 4 working groups that are headed by a captain on each division, lieutenant on each piece of apparatus that go out the street, and that is the department breakdown between myself, the deputy, the 2 fire prevention captains. We upgraded a position last year to the chief's aide is now a training officer, and that's one of the line items that we addressed this past.
It's good this doesn't have the social security numbers.
Yeah, remember that? We had numbers on there and everything. That was, it was actually a funny debate openly, Page 10, this is where our fire department mechanic, his name is Rich Ragucci. He's one of the most certified and educated mechanics in the area. He does a fantastic job. If you look at it from a standpoint of in-house repairs versus sending it out to some sort of business, you can't touch a fire truck without certain standards. You can't just be a basic mechanic to touch a fire truck and expect it to go down the road. You need certain, industry-specific type certifications, and he has them through the roof. The town manager and I have really worked on him being, one of the most essential. I'm so proud that he's one of one in the department, if you get what I mean. So we, just off of what we would consider $100 an hour for a mechanic, this is what he puts in for repairs and labor during the year into our first new system, which is our cloud-based system I was talking about before. Anywhere between $200 to $400 an hour when you put the apparatus out to a vendor to do the repairs, and that shows you what kind of money he saves on a yearly basis doing that job.
Chief, it says, I don't know, I must be missing something. It says in-house labor estimated.
Yep.
Bottom line item total is 48,320.80. Underneath that is 120,802. Where's that rest come from?
Labor estimate is a placeholder for the Department of Mechanic to track work. $100 an hour was used for ease of track and the calculation of labor. So I'm guessing this is how correlated this. Conservative industry rate is upward of 200 to 400. The adjusted labor indicates a savings provided to the mechanic for a factor of 2.5%.
Oh,
Yep.
so are they saying that if it went out, if it was outsourced, it
Yes.
would be 120?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, you get what I mean? So he
Yep.
is putting it in for $100, per hour to do the
So
repairs.
that's our savings, the delta between those two numbers is the savings to the
It's about
town
$70,000,
by
yeah,
having, somebody on site that's qualified to do the.
from the 1 to 200 number,
Yep.
yep.
Thank you.
And you can see the line item summary down the bottom here. And that is one of the 3 line items we addressed this year. And again, most of the things that we have to purchase, we get through grants. This administration has done a great job of allowing us to go for state and federal grants. We have a lot of success, learning through grant writing programs and things like that. The successes we've had we're overflowing equipment at the station, and that's a good problem to have,
You betcha.
Yep, and I don't know how you want me to handle this, Mr. Chair, but on the next page, there are 2 line items we increased. On the public safety salary side, and then there's 1 we increased on the public safety expense side. The first of which is the general overtime account. We increased from $700,000 to $800,000, and that is a reflection of 1, contractual obligations, but 2, the size of the department has changed, as you mentioned, since we got those SAFER grants and brought new people in. It's more indicative of where we need to be as a department. As you can see, the actuals the past few years, we're up over that $700,000 mark, so I appreciate, the entire financial team stressing the importance of the general overtime budget. The next one down that we increased is overtime training. It went from $60,000 to $75,000, and that's a reflection of the dedicated training officer. I will say this, when you talked about mutual aid before with the police chief, it's a little bit different in the fire service. This administration was the first to address mutual aid separately from general overtime account and separate that from the general overtime account, because we send people out of town quite often. And that's reflected with the $50,000 budget we have in there at this point. This overtime training is now indicative of having a dedicated full-time training officer, and we utilize that for industry standards and what we call pro board certifications. It's a little bit different in the police service. I know the town manager came out of there. We bring in instructors and we train our people for the next generation, because as I said before, I'm year 10, we're training people to replace me in a couple of years, so that's how we go. And having a professional fire department is something that this administration has emphasized, and I'm very happy with those 2 increases when it comes to salary. When it comes to expenses, we just have 1 at the top, the repair and maintenance of vehicles, from $75,000 to $90,000, and that is indicative on what we've spent the past few years. Last year's actual was $91,000 for repairs, the year before it was $80,000. And we're hoping that the 2 new pieces of apparatus as they come in can level that budget off. And that's really what we got for increases this year. If you have any questions, I'm always willing to answer.
I'm all set. Does anybody in the committee have any questions? For the chief?
Thank you. We do have emergency management there, and there's really one thing I want to say, because it's level funded. We secured a rescue truck from Massport quite some time ago. It was blue when we got it from Massport. We painted it red, and it's at the end of useful life cycle. And what we've done over the past, decade is streamline emergency management and put it under the umbrella of public safety. And what we're going to do this year, we just recently made the purchase. We're going to take that rescue truck offline, and we're going to retire that. We scrap those, right? We send it to scrap, and we are purchasing
We gotta make sure you go through the process.
go through the process, yeah. And We just purchased a 17-foot, 7-foot by 16-foot tow-behind trailer, and all of our emergency management capabilities will now be tow-behind. So we'll be able to take them to, say, East Saugus when it's flooding, tow it down with the departmental pickup truck, place, the appropriate trailer. We have shelter trailers, we have, pumps and generators and things like that, and now it's much more mobile, and it's a more reliable method.
And it's much more cost effective.
Cost effective, yeah, so now all we'll have to worry about is, making sure the tires are full, that type of thing. So that truck is about 30 years old, so we're hoping to take that offline. We just purchased the trailer now off a local vendor, from Saugus, so we're happy to do that, and that's really what I got this year.
Great. Any questions by the committee?
I just had a quick one. Last year, we talked about the false alarms.
Yeah.
If there was 3 or more, maybe adding a fee in to...
fee now.
There's a fee
There is
now.
now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
What we do, and that was a good question last year, what we do is try to use that fee as leverage to get the repair done. At the end of the day, we're not trying to take money out of the business's pockets.
It's not a revenue source.
Yeah, it's really not, we try to get there, what we do is we flag them for fire prevention. The officers will go out, say they have a couple false alarms in the same weekend. We have certain triggers, just like the town manager and I want to be notified for certain things. We have certain triggers that send things down to fire prevention. They'll go out and say, why are we gonna get in the rigmarole fining you 150
And
to
most of the
300?
things that we do in Saugus, and I think that's what makes us a town.
Yeah.
Right, is we're trying to just get compliance.
Yeah.
The cities
Yeah.
and different things, they use a lot of these things for revenue sources. And
Yeah.
it's part of their budget, so they're trying to generate revenues and make people pay outside of, taxes. We haven't got to that point where we're really more of trying to get people to come into compliance in
Yeah.
all different departments.
It really is, and I can't say enough about the staff. The lead person is Scott Phelan, and he's probably one of the best fire inspectors in the state. And we have Bill Cross in there now too, and he's really got up to speed and does a great job. They do inspection, plan review, code enforcement, and investigation. So they have a big umbrella that they cover, and it's on me if there's a fire to determine the cause. And so they work with the state police and things like that. So it's a really dynamic job. So I'm glad, Scott Phelan's gonna finish his career and stay with me through the end, so it's, I appreciate that question, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the answer.
We don't want to beat up a business, we want to get them open and keep them safe,
Yeah,
and
of course.
that's where we're at,
Yep.
So I appreciate everything,
Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Thank you.
as always, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good. Okay.
Okay, that finishes our agenda. I just wanted to repeat that next week we'll have the schools. Then the following week, we will do DPW. And then, as I was looking at our schedule, and I will make sure that everybody,
Kenny, do we have to go over the building inspector and the gas and plumbing inspector and electrical?
no,
Okay.
not in this meeting.
Looks like it's on this agenda.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If you want to.
Well, it's on this agenda, we might as well go over it now. And that way they don't get out of it. Thank you, Mark. I think you even mentioned that a previous year when I wasn't sick and I was here.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to have extra stuff on and, put a catch-all thing on there, so.
Well, before we go over those, let me just kind of, Mark, you can, bring us to those departments.
Oh, yeah.
Just so everybody will know, I will be posting a meeting for 410, which will be town boards and town hall. And then the 17th,
Page 28.
the 17th, I'll be posting for debt,
Building
employees'
inspector.
benefits, and other departments.
28.
Thank you.
And that'll take us to the 17th of April. And then after that, we'll have the 24th, and we'll have May, the 24th and the 30th to do the annual town meeting warrant to get business over to town meeting. We'll be ahead of the curve. That's why I'm doubling up that, so we get the information to town meeting. I will make sure everybody has a correspondence and that, I will make sure it gets posted and sent out to all you guys. And yes, thank you for that, and let's do those departments. Go ahead, Mark, you can take it.
All right, so building inspector, page 28, department 241. Looks to be,
Plumbing is on 29, and then electrical's 31.
so
So
this
it's
is
right in order.
building.
That's the only three we need, the others we covered. So
um,
28, 29 through 31.
Yep. So increase looks to be,
I can't read the font, so, Mark.
yeah, it's,
That's okay.
looks like professional in general was an increase, and then salary.
I think professional, technical, is that what you're talking? I think we increased because we get some software, trying to bring in some permitting software, as well as I think they're actually accessing CAD, there's a license for CAD in the office so that they can communicate better with planning department and engineering.
And then looks like a longevity increase and salary increase. Okay. Jumping to gas and plumbing, Department 243, page 29. Looks salary increase and dues and memberships. What would that be?
That's all, those are
Yeah, that's all.
contractual.
And then,
Or COLA.
electrical inspection, page 31.
But you get seals and weights, that's
Yeah, weights and measures.
pretty
Really wasn't too much change.
Basically,
Salary
funding.
increase. And then for the electrical inspection, looks to be the same.
Just supplies.
Yeah,
That's level funding.
yeah,
so-
this is so just
Pretty much.
basic. Alright.
salary.
Very good.
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, so that does bring us to the end of our night. So I will make sure everybody gets copies of everything, but just so you'll know, we'll move this along so that when the warrant comes out, we'll be able to dedicate 2 weeks before the town meeting meets so that we get work for town meeting to vote on, so we'll have recommendations for that. When do we expect to see the town warrant, the annual town meeting warrant?
Was that again? I'm sorry.
When do you think we'll see the warrant?
I think the 15th of April is when they're closing it,
Okay,
so it's a little later this year, I think, or usually they close it and maybe leave it open for the manager's articles, but I think that they just announced that they're gonna be closing on the 15th.
so if they're closing on the 15th, we are planning,
Yeah, so in theory, yeah.
we should, if we have it in front of us, we should be okay, because the 17th will be, the 17th, we should be done reviewing all the departments of April.
Yeah,
So that means that we plan on addressing the warrant on the 23rd,
Excuse me.
and, the 23rd, the 23rd and the 30th.
yeah, one of those is school vacation week, I think it's tough, the third week in April, but,
The 23rd is April vacation.
it's a tough week.
Well, if I can get a quorum, we'll still cover it. You know, and hopefully I can get a quorum. I know some people go away with their children, whatever, so that we can at least get work. I hate to see town meeting, you know, to open up the town meeting and not have any financial recommendations. Not that that
I
hasn't
think they'll
happened.
have some.
Yeah, that's what I
I
want to
think they'll
do.
have some.
I want to make sure we have some work for town meeting.
I think we will.
And that's it. And with that, I'll, motion to adjourn, seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Excellent. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.